Hey y'all, this is Ginginese, coach of the Texas Tornadus. So excited to be back starting a new Draft League season. This is season 3 of the Pokemon All-Star competition, the PAC YouTube Draft League, and it's going to be the first Draft League that I have done in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. This here is the draft breakdown. I'll give you all an idea of the Mons that I drafted and what we're going to be potentially bringing to each match every week. So let me just go ahead and show you what we got. I was pick 4 in a 16-team snake draft, and so at pick number 4, I was able to snag Chien-Pao. Honestly, don't know why it's allowed in Draft League. This thing is so strong, so fast, has so much utility, can be, even does enough damage with heavy-duty boots that you can just pivot it around a lot, but if you throw Life Orb or Choice Band on there, it is so incredibly strong, gets priority as well. Was really happy to take this. Now, because I was picked 4 out of 16, I went all the way from 4 to 16, all the way back in the snake from 16 back to 4, and somehow Iron Moth dropped to me. I'm really excited to have Iron Moth because with booster energy, there's a lot of different sets. You can EV it so that it gets the speed boost with the booster energy, or using a more special attacking set, it can get that special attack boost with booster energy. It's also good with choice specs, has hazards as well, and already my team was starting to look really fast and really offensive. And then on that next pick, we were able to pick up Sandy Shocks. This gave me my first rocker, so I had some hazard control, but as well another just very strong attacker. Booster energy, I think, in Draft League is really helpful. And so already these 3 different speed tiers was looking pretty good, but I needed some more, especially physical bulk. So I was able to pick up Tauros Aqua. So with this, we have 4 Mons with 4 different dual typings. We didn't have any overlap yet. And Intimidate, Cudchew, lots of different options for Tauros, but overall I felt like it gave me a little more defensive pivoting that I would hopefully be able to build on later in the draft. And that's why with my next pick, I took Bronzong. This felt like a little bit of a reach, but it was really the last steel type that I liked out of what was left at this point in the draft. With 16 teams in the Just the Paldea decks, things were starting to get pretty thin even here at pick 5. But picking up Bronzong, I've got screens, I've got another rocker, a good pivot, and a good defensive wall. It's not going to be great in every game, but there are definitely going to be matchups where I think Bronzong can just sit on the field and be a tough wall to break through. Now with my 6th pick, I picked up Maushold. This was the first hazard removal that I was able to pick up. And hazard removal in this format is very scarce. There are very few rapid spinners, very few defoggers, and those can both be blocked by something like Goldengo. I was really happy to be able to pick up Maushold because not only does it get tidy up so I can get rid of those hazards, but also this was my Terra Captain. Forgot to mention, by the way, that Iron Moth is my other Terra Captain, so I have Iron Moth and Maushold that can Terra. But to me, if you, as my opponent, have to prepare for Terra Normal Wide Lens Population Bomb, that drastically changes the way that you prepare for my team. So even if I don't bring Maushold, even if it's not my hazard remover every week, even if I don't bring it, you have to prepare for Population Bomb because that's something that can just blow through your team. And again, I'll mention outside of Bronzong, at this point, I have just these very staggered speed tiers that make it very hard to reliably know that you can outspeed my team without throwing on Choice Scarf. I've got, base 100, base 101, base 110, base 111, base 135. I've got such staggered high speed tiers that I felt really good about where my draft was going. At pick 7, I was able to take Bramblegast. Again, one of the few ghost types left that I appreciated. I also wanted something that had grass stab for offenses. Another spiker, a good rapid spinner for removal, but overall just it was filling a gap that I felt like I needed to fill before there wasn't anything left to fill it. So good strong grass type and a ghost type here. Bramblegast is not great, and again this felt like a little bit of a reach, but as we're getting to the end of the draft here, things starting to get a little thin. I then took Bombardier. Was actually really happy to get Bombardier. This is one of my favorite new mons this generation, at least from a design standpoint. We get Stab knockoff with its ability, Rocky Payload. We get Stab rock type moves as well. But overall, you know, like a kind of middling bulk, middling attack, but it's got U-turn so I can pivot around. It's got knockoff, which again, as I was mentioning, the hazard removal is not great this generation, and so having knockoff to get rid of boots can be really beneficial. You know, Brave Bird, Stone Edge, it's not a defogger, but can kind of just sit on the field. It also gets rocks as well. And while it has rocks, it is also pretty decent at checking things that might want to defog. So felt like a good utility mon to throw in there. I was able to grab Oricorio, the fire form. Most of the Oricorios were already taken at this point, and so I was happy to pick up one of these. Between Revelation Dance, Quiver Dance, Hurricane, Defog, U-turn, just a lot of utility that, again, it's probably not going to come to every game, but has the option to at least put in a lot of work defensively or offensively. Now, the last couple of picks, I wasn't really sure what to get, so I was just trying to grab a couple more defensive options, given that the top half of my draft was very offensive. So I was able to grab Crocalor. Crocalor with the Eviolite and Unaware feels like an option to stop a lot of the snowballing that could occur if my opponent starts to get set up. I can roar things out. Fire Spin does a decent amount of damage as well. Substitute with Slack Off, Yawn, things like that. And I have enough hazards on this team between Sandy Shocks, Bronzong, Bramblegast, Bombardier that I can roar and kind of hazard shuffle my opponent around. And finally, I took Altaria, just one more defogger, just so we have some varied option when it comes to hazard removal. But Altaria also got Will-O-Wisp this generation, so it makes it a little bit more of a solid defensive pivot. And with Natural Cure and Rest, it can stay around for a long time. I was overall pretty glad to grab it with my last pick. So this is the team that I'll be bringing to all of the games this season. It's the first draft league that I've done in this generation, and terastallization is still a mechanic that, at least in singles, I haven't had much experience with. So I'm very excited to start playing some matches, see how this all goes. And yeah, you guys will see me shortly coming up for my first battle next week. Hope to see y'all then. Peace.